Hey, welcome back to the Cy Goggle and Jack channel. I thought I would do a quick video and show you my little orchard here. And Georgia Adventurer is making a little orchard of his own. So I thought I would make a video showing my little orchard. I've had a apple tree die last year, and I'm going to replace it today. So I'll show you how I plant and prune my trees to make little head-high trees. And really, I don't want my fruit trees to be any higher than head high. I don't want to climb a ladder to pick an apple. I'm not growing a commercial orchard. I just want enough fruit for myself and my family to eat. For the past year and a half, I've been piling up rabbit manure and pine shavings. That's what I line the bottom of my cages with. I raise rabbits. And so this has got just a pile of rabbit manure, rabbit urine, which has been rained on, and the rabbit urine has soaked into the ground. And so it's really nutrient soil in this little spot right here. Don't ever put fresh rabbit urine next to a plant. It's just too strong of ammonia. You'll have to dilute it. But if you put it somewhere off close to the plant, let it rain on it and drain some of that, dilute some of that urine, and then you can rake it back up toward the plant. The manure is fine. The manure is a cold manure, so you can put the manure directly on plants, and it's a really great fertilizer. So let's do a little walk around tour, and I'll show you what I've got growing in this 50 by 50 foot plot. So in this direction, I've got my garden. Last 2 years, I've been planting potatoes in this unfenced in areas. Deer don't eat potatoes. So I grew, gosh, 400 or 500 pounds of potatoes here. Year before last, canned a lot of them. A lot of them went bad because I just grew too many potatoes. But potatoes are great. And then I let my fenced in area kind of go fallow, which was my fault. Kind of weeded up, so I've got to clean that out. And I've got to get these new wicking beds. I did this last year. They grew a ton of food, managed the water really great. And there's a lot of videos on wicking beds and how to make those. So I won't, show you in this video. I don't really. This is not a gardening channel. I don't consider myself a gardening expert. But I grew a ton of food just right here. A lot of garlic, elephant garlic, and tomatoes, peppers, things like that do really well with that constant supply of water. And there's my little tiller. I've got to dig out of the weeds. And then here's this little orchard. It is, I'm going to say it's 50 feet by 50 feet. I've got a row of apple trees, and then I have a blackberry arbor. Grew tons and tons of blackberries. These are thornless blackberries, and they're just starting to put on leaves now. We're in the mountains, probably 7A, 7B, I'm not sure. Can't remember right now. I think I were 7B. And it depends on elevation, really, whether you're 7A or 7B. We're right at that spot there. But they're starting to put on some good leaf growth, and they will be covered up with pounds and pounds of really large blackberries. These are thornless blackberries. These are Arapaho and Navajo. The Arapaho are more productive, and the Navajo have a better flavor, I think. And this is just put together with T-post, and this is electric fence wire. And this first T-post on either end is bent back to kind of hold the weight, and this works really well. And you can throw up a arbor that will last for years for not a lot of money, and grow, gosh, thousands and thousands of berries, really high in antioxidants, and just delicious. I have 4 pear trees here and 4 peach trees. We got a ton of peaches last year, and Half of them got eaten up with worms, but I'm not going to spray. I spray with neem oil, and that's about it. Right here, and I'm going to do this today, I'm going to make a row of fig trees. And just like all my other trees, I'm going to keep them pruned and managed to a really manageable size. And I'm going to espalier these. I've got another area of my property where I have espaliered some apples, and I think it's fun to do. So for no other reason than it's fun, and I don't need a lot of figs. I just need enough for personal use. So there's going to be a row of espaliered figs here this year, and probably maybe next year, definitely the year after, I will have figs. We grew figs in pots last couple of years, grew a ton of figs, but I kept having to repot them to take them out of that pot and trim the roots and put them back and put them into bigger pots, and it just became unmanageable, and it wasn't fun. These pear trees, they really put on a lot of growth, so they take a lot of pruning to keep them head high. So this is, you can tell they've gone up about 20 feet, and a lot of that I've got to just cut off, and I'll just cut it off. I may cut it back a little bit down here and let them sprout off again. So I may not get a lot of pears, but that's okay. And the peach trees, they do really good. And the way I'm going to show you to plant and prune, do the initial pruning of a fruit tree, really doesn't matter what kind of fruit tree. You can have a small tree that branches really low to the ground and creates kind of a vase-like shape. That's more prominent on probably a pear. Like that, you get that nice vase-like shape on a pear. Peaches you do, but they're kind of wonky looking because they don't grow really uniformly. But I think they're beautiful. I like the kind of abstract forms that those make. They're kind of like little bonsai trees, you know. So this is probably 5 feet tall at its tallest, and that's where I like to keep it. Uh, I don't want to reach up any higher than that. I definitely don't have to bring a ladder in here. If I want to throw bug netting over it, it's a lot easier. The espaliered figs, since I live in the mountains, I'm going to have to keep those protected in the winter, so I will be able to, if I just leave them, you know, maybe waist high, a little higher, I'll be able to throw some burlap and some blankets on in the winter. We throw a tarp over and keep them kind of protected in the harsh mountain weather. I've got a row of blueberries. Blueberries do really good in the mountains. They grow native here, not these variety. These are a cultured variety, but there are really lots of native blueberries in the mountains. And one died, so I'm going to replace it. And then here is kind of an experiment. This is hazelnut. And hazelnut also grows native in the mountains, but they're kind of rare. And they grow kind of native all up the East Coast, but they're kind of rare. You don't see them a lot. And these particular variety are not native. And unfortunately, where I live, I have a big row of Bradford pears, which of course are not a fruiting pear, but they will, I've been told, affect the fruit production on my pear trees. So we'll see. I don't know if that's true or not. They flower at totally different times here in the mountains, so they might be okay. I'm not real crazy about Bradford pears, but they were here when we moved here, and they are pretty, but they're a very weak tree, and they will kind of cross, I believe, with fruiting pear trees. While we're out here, I'll go ahead and show you another project that I started and then had some illness and some bad weather and did not really work on it last year very much. But I am building a greenhouse, and I built this all with a chain link fence top tube. And I bought a pipe bender, not an expensive thing at all, and bent these arches and then bought the hardware to make the purlings and the um, other fittings there. Not an expensive thing compared to other greenhouses. and I really need to get to work on that. So maybe by putting this on YouTube, it will motivate me to get to work. All right, let me show you how to plant a tree. Before we get started, I'll show you the tree. This I bought from our local 4-H club, and it's a great way to buy trees. They're really affordable, and it helps the kids out. This is a Fuji. It's about 6.5 feet tall, and right here is the rootstock. So this is probably a dwarf variety of rootstock, and this Fuji was grafted to it. So I'm going to plant it just right around the rootstock, just below maybe the rootstock, so that I can clearly identify where the rootstock grows. And I'm going to plant it. It's got kind of a lean to it, so I'll plant it kind of facing this way toward the south, so that it will tend to grow more limbs that way on that side, and kind of even it out. And I'll tilt it just a little bit, get it as straight up and down as possible. But it's a good looking tree, and very healthy. Had it soaking in water through the week, because I just couldn't get to it until the weekend, and it looks pretty healthy, and I think it's going to make a great tree. So let's get it in the ground. Let's take a look at what happens when you don't till the earth deep. All you do is pile nutrient-rich organic material on top of it. This is what the soil was and is all around here. It's just sand, and it's unnutritious, it's dead. But if you pile some kind of organic material, mulch, rabbit manure, anything like that, just pile it on. Come back in a year, maybe 2 years, and it turns into this. There's a worm. Life will happen without having to do any tillage or anything. You just pile it on top, and the worms will do the work, and the nematodes will do the work for you, and the fungus will do the work for you. Just give it a little time. Be patient. I do have a tiller just to break the surface, but I don't till deep. I just pile stuff on top. And there you go. There's proof right there. Dead soil, live soil. Okay, so I cut that tree off about knee high. And you're thinking, well, my gosh, there's a whole year's growth above that. You've stunted your tree, and I have stunted it. I want the new branching to start here, maybe even a little lower. I may even take it a little lower, and it will branch out, and I'll keep maybe 4 of the best limbs that branch, and then I'll let those grow up just a little bit, and then I'll cut those off, and then I'll get another flush of branching, and then I'll pick my height that I want to keep the tree at, and I'll just keep it trimmed like that. And what you come up with are trees that look like that. If you go to a commercial apple orchard, there's a lot around here. They do something similar, but that tree's leaning. I may try to fix that. Or I may just prune it to where there are more limbs going in this direction. So it's a process, lifelong process. Go to a commercial orchard and look at their trees. They're doing something similar. They'll do it higher to get more production, and their rows will be 20, 30 feet across, because they're getting a pickup truck and a tractor through it. Well, I don't need to get a pickup truck or a tractor through here. I just need a pathway to walk. So I'm doing the same thing that commercial growers do. I'm just doing it lower, lower to the ground. And I'll top this tree off. It's gotten too tall, so I'll keep it pruned right where I want it. And I'll do that before it starts to bud. It's already started to bud a little bit. It'll be okay. I'm still going to cut some of it off. This pear has already started to flower, but I'm still going to cut it back. They're tough. I do not let my trees be the boss of me, but I do care for them. And I mulch around there with the same stuff that I mulched in that big pile. And you saw that right under that pile, life starts to dig deep and it goes down and down. And worms will carry nutrients down, and the rain will carry nutrients down, and fungus will start to grow there and will feed that whole area and help break things down. And I have some pretty good success with growing really beautiful little trees. So here's the fig tree. This is the rootstock, and then they have grafted on. This is a brown turkey, and I'm alternating brown turkey and celestial. I've got 4 this year, and I may put 3 in between next year. And I think the mistake a lot of people make when they're planting figs is they plant them too deep. Definitely don't bury your rootstock. Have it about like that is plenty. And backfill with just really nutrient earth. You don't need a deep hole, but you do need a wide hole with lots of nutrient soil around it, and it will send out thousands of little spidery roots over the next couple of years, and it'll go deeper too. The taproot will go down, but it'll do that on its own. And if you keep it mulched like we saw on the apple tree, life will take hold and the worms and nematodes and fungus will do the work for you. So there you go. I'm going to dig this hole and I will bring you back in as we're planting this last one. All right. So here's our hole. It's about maybe 2 feet round and only about 8 inches deep. And I loosened up the bottom there. So this is really hard clay, so I want some drainage. And the worms and the nematodes and everything will do the tillage for me if I keep this area mulched, and I will. And I'm going to set this probably with maybe a couple inches of rootstock showing. Here's the scion, and then here's the actual fig. And then I'm going to backfill this with some really good homemade mulch and rabbit manure. And I will mulch this whole row of trees here. And build a trellis, and at the first wire I will cut it, let it sprout off, and I'll have one branch going down the line, one going up to the next wire, cut it, let it do it again, and I might do 3 cables here and espalier this. And I think it's going to look great. We'll see. And I'll bring you along periodically to check in and see how it's going. All right, let me backfill this. Okay, well, thanks for joining. I appreciate everyone who has subscribed to the channel. I know this is a departure from what I usually do, but I thought I'd bring you along and show you my little orchard. See you on the next one. Bye.